welcome to 5 minutes in the shed. Right, I really have only got a few minutes in the shed this evening, so I've just been getting the cylinder head ready for the cylinder head rebuild that I'm going to do, which is going to be, it'll probably be a whole video on rebuilding the cylinder head, grinding the valves in, all that sort of stuff. So I'll just show you where I am doing the prep work for that. Right then, so here's the cylinder head. Now, what I need to do is I need to change, you can see that all right, I need to change these valve guides because they're loose, right, they've worn out. So I'll give you an example, right, so here's a valve, one of the valves which go in like that. So that's how a valve sits in the engine, opens and closes, lets the petrol or in, or lets the exhaust out, right? So those valves run in these valve guides. Now these valve guides are loose, right? So if I put that on there, they actually rattle about, which means that the gases are going to get past that, right? Or the oil's going to get in and it will smoke, and smoke will come out the exhaust, which isn't desirable. Now these are older ones on this 3TA engine. These are made of cast iron. Modern ones are made out of phosphor bronze. So yeah, I need to change these. So the way you get these out, let's just put this back where it came from so I know where it went. Right, the way you get these out is you heat the head up really hot, and when it's really hot, then you have to hit these from the other side to knock them out. They've got a little circlip on the shaft there, and that seat's going in that way. All right, so I've done one, and then I thought I should be filming this. So this one is from here. All right, so I've done that. I've got that one out. So what I need to do is heat up the next one, heat all around there, heat it up from the inside, and make sure the aluminium expands, and then I can knock it out. And I knock it out from the inside using my special tool, which I've had for years and years and years. I think I made it to do a 350 cylinder head on my Tiger 90, which I've had since I was like 17, 18. Right, so I'm pretty sure that's where it came from. And this is actually stainless steel. It's part of a milking machine, which was my first proper job. So this fits down the centre of the valve guide like that, meaning you can knock it out. Right, so I need to get really hot and then knock these out. But with it on the bench like that, it bottoms out on the bench before it comes out. So you have to kind of lift it up and support it a little bit, and then finish it off in the air like that. So I've got all those to take out. If I do like a little montage video of it with some funky music, it'll basically be a video of me standing there like this, going heating a head up, which is really dull and boring, right? So I'm going to get these out and get the new ones ready to go in, and then I'll film some video work of them going back in. Then because I've put new valve guides in, the valves will be in a slightly different place, which means then I've got to reseat the valves. So there's going to be a lot of valve grinding. So I'll get my stick out and my little rubber sucker, and I'll be grinding the valves in with some grinding paste, and then rebuilding them up, putting springs on, putting the collets in, all that sort of stuff. So so yeah, just bringing you up to speed on what I'm doing with the head to prep it before I actually build it. Okay. Right then, so knock these out of the cylinder head. Where's the cylinder head? Yeah. Oh, I think it's shit next to that. Right. So I've knocked these out, but right, now I've never seen this happen before. The inlet valve ones came out treat. Just knocked them out and they came out. Oh, there's the inlet ones. But the exhaust ones, the exhaust valve guides on this side, I don't know whether it's because they're heat treated or what, but as I knocked them out, they exploded, literally exploded. Right, so these are the exhaust ones. You can see the ends have like totally exploded on them, and here are all the little bits of cast iron that just exploded off them. Not an issue because I'm replacing them anyway. But I then had to carry on knocking them to get them out. Right? And my drift that I showed you a minute ago, it's battered all the end of it. So I've just dropped it around my next door neighbour's house, and he's going to spin it up and put a nice edge on it again with his lathe. Otherwise, when I put the new ones in with that drift, I'm going to batter the engine. Oh, that's still hot. Yeah, so don't want to do that. So yeah, I can't put the new ones in until my next door neighbour has spun it up on his lathe. So yeah, that's where I am. Yeah, exploding valve guides. Who knew? Right, folks, I'm going to whisper a little bit, right? Because, as you may notice, I'm not in my shed, right? I'm in the kitchen. And the reason I'm in the kitchen is because I want to press the valve guides into my cylinder head, which is here, right? And my cylinder head is going to go in here, which is an oven. I'm just preheating it to 200 degrees C, so I'm going to put my cylinder head in there and it'll expand so I can put my valve guides in easier. So, signing off now before I get caught. Right, so I'm in the shed, just set the camera up, I've got my cup of tea, I'm drinking my tea while my cylinder head's getting hot in the house. I'm going to put the camera on like a time lapse because when I bring it up I can't mess about with the camera because I don't want it to cool down. I want to put the guides in, right? So yeah, see you when they're in. Right then, so valve guides are in. Still a little bit hot actually. So you can see them in the top there, and if you look underneath, you can probably just see them inside where the valves go. Now, next job is to grind the new valve. Well, no, get the old valves and grind them in to these old seats because nothing's going to line up. It won't seal properly at the moment. So load of valve grinding next, which is really boring, bit laborious, not my favourite job in the world, but it needs doing before I can put the springs and the collets back on to put it all back together. So yeah, grinding next. Right then, valve grinding. Alright, so I've got a valve. There's one of my inlet valves there. You can tell it's an inlet valve because it's a wider diameter than the exhaust valve. Here's my inlet valves here. And what I need to do is grind that edge surface to match the edge surface of the valve, right? So that goes in there, sits in there. I mean, it's a pretty good fit. I haven't got to take off like ½ an inch or anything. I just need to make it sit right. So I've made myself a bit of a wooden block to work on. So the valve's free underneath there. And I've got it a bit more upright as well. So valve grinding, you need a stick with rubber suckers on the end, the kind you stick on your forehead, right? Now you stick that on the front of the valve like that, and then you grind it. Alright, that's how it works. So I've got two types of grinding paste. I've got fine and coarse. So I'm going to do them all with the coarse first, and then once I've got a nice bite with the coarse, then I'll change over to the fine and finish it off, right? Now the method for doing these, right, is that you put it in and you do this, right, in your hands like that. I don't know why, but that's what they recommend. Right? So that's how you grind valves. Now it is tempting to think, you know what, I could just cut that bit of wood in half, stick it in a battery drill and spin it in as fast as I could. You can, right? But apparently that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is between your hands, like that, and do loads of that, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it properly. It's going to take me an absolute age to do, right? So I'm not going to film it because I'll just bore you stupid, right? But we'll come back after I've ground them all in, and I'm ready to put all the springs and the collets and the washers and everything back on. Right? Fantastic. Right then, so valves are all lapped in now. I'll show you what they look like now they're lapped. All right. It's extreme close-up time. So if you look at the end of the valve, you see how the valve's shiny, but there's like that matte finish around the end. That matte finish is where the grinding happened, all right? There. And if you look in the head, I don't know if you can see that on the video. Try and catch it in the light. There's a different sort of texture change where the valve actually seats, right? So they look all pretty good. The other thing I've done is I've cleaned off all the grinding paste. You don't want valve grinding paste in your engine when you start your engine. So that's all cleaned up now. They're all ready to go. So now I've got to put the springs and the collets and everything back on to hold them in. Right. So that's the next job. Right then, so got all the valves in, got all 4 valves in, all look pretty good. I was a bit concerned with one of them because it wasn't quite flush, so I just did it again, but it just seems to be the way it goes. So valves are in, and you can see under the inside there's the valves. All looks pretty good. Now the only way really you can test if they're leaking is with a compression test when the engine's fully built, but I'm going to cheat and I'm going to test it before I build the engine. Right? To do that, these should be gas tight, right? So it needs to be fairly liquid tight as well. So if you fill these with a liquid, it shouldn't run out, and if it does, you know the valves aren't seated properly. So I need to plug these holes up with some spark plugs, and then I'm going to fill them full of liquid and see if they leak. Right, so I put the spark plugs in, just nip them up with the socket, and I've filled, got a bit of white spirit, and I've filled both chambers with white spirit. And now I'm watching them to see if I can see them going down. And the good news is I can't. Right. In fact, I'll take you in for a closer look. There you go, you can see the liquid level, both sides. See, liquid, liquid, and they're both staying where they need to be, or near enough anyway. I mean, I could leave it overnight to double check, but I mean, this is going to be absolutely fine. Alright, so fantastic. Head is finished, ready to go back on the bike.